How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today I'm going to be talking about something pretty interesting. This is The Passageway, a new original graphic novel from Jeff Lemire with art by Andrea Sorrentino, and this just came out from Image a little bit ago. But yeah, an original hardcover graphic novel, and this is the first graphic novel set in the Bone Orchard Mythos, which the Bone Orchard Mythos is sort of this universe that Jeff Lemire is creating to set a whole bunch of his stories in. So that's an interesting concept. More on that in a little bit. What is this particular graphic novel about? Well, we get this guy. He's a geologist, and his company calls him to a small island with a lighthouse on it because a mysterious hole has opened up in the earth, and they want to know what it is. Is the island itself losing stability? What's down there? So he's got to go and investigate. He meets the lighthouse keeper, Sally, who likes to just be called Sal, a really mysterious loner character who you're kind of not sure what's up with her. But also, it's an island surrounded by water, and our main guy has a bit of a fear of water. You see, when he was a little boy, he was at the beach with his mother, and the mother drowned in the ocean, and when she washed ashore, her eyeballs were missing. That is a strange, creepy concept, but now that he's surrounded by water again, he's starting to get visions of his mother's death, and it's starting to really haunt him, and of course, he has to get to the bottom of the hole, quite literally, and he'll find a strange nightmare world down there, and it's going to get very trippy, very surreal, and very, very disturbing, and that's really what this book does the best. This is the same creative team that did Gideon Falls and Primordial, and I just read the first volume of Gideon Falls quite recently, and it shares some of the strengths with this book. That strange, nightmarish imagery, very Lovecraftian, very strange and old and disturbing. And when you get to the end of this book, boy, that is a strange nightmare roller coaster you're going down there. And yeah, it has a pretty interesting ending. And overall, I really did like that. You get Andrea Sorrentino's art, which is very, very detailed and intense and really does work with the creepy imagery very well, and you do get to go down that nightmare. But that being said, the thing that I'm wondering with this is kind of a short graphic novel. I think it's only 96 pages. I read through it twice, both times in one sitting, and you know, it's good, it's interesting, it does the horror really well, but it ends a little bit abruptly. And it's not really bad because, you know, it's trying to be that, you know, Lovecraftian vagueness which leaves your mind wondering and, you know, extra scared because of it. But at the same time, I'm kind of wondering, you know, is this just a complete self-contained short story? And if it is, it's good enough for it. But is this more of a self-contained story, or is this more of a volume 1? I really am wondering what the Bone Orchard is going to be. Are we going to see more of these characters? Are we going to see more of these plot elements? How connected is this? Because leaving some of that stuff open, if this is closer to volume 1, then it's closer to volume 1, and that's okay to leave this stuff open because we're going to do more with it. And I know we are going to get more, I just don't know how connected it's going to be. And that's sort of where it's hard to judge, you know, this book, and it's a little bit quick ending, you know, is that just the short, strange nature of the story, or is it setting up stuff that will be explored in other stories? And I really don't know at this point. So yeah, a little short, a little bit abrupt, but that does leave you, you know, you don't want to close all the doors perfectly. You want them to be open and have your mind wander and get scared. So yeah, I'm kind of curious how this book will change when we get more of the Bone Orchard out, will this seem more like a prologue, or is this just going to be its own side story? And that really has me wondering. I thought maybe Bone Orchard might just be like, Stephen King's Castle Rock. It may just be a reoccurring set. But now I'm thinking they might be more connected. And frankly, right now, I just don't know, because there's no more out yet. But I am going to be keeping an eye on this. Really good, disturbing, dark imagery. A really good, insane nightmare thing. I really did like it. I don't know how the larger story is going to play out, but I am curious, and I'll definitely pick up the next Bone Orchard thing. I love this creative team, Lemire and Sorrentino, just really disturbing stuff they put out, and I'll tune in for the next one. But yeah, a little bit on the weirder side, but I still had fun with it. Anyway, without further ado, let's go to the close-up camera. I'll show you guys a bit of the art, a bit of the story, no major spoilers, but I want to show you guys this a little more up close. So without further ado, let's go to the close-up camera. Alright, here we are in the castle, taking a closer look at this graphic novel. Let's bring it closer to the camera, and we can see this really cool, larger-than-life hand pattern here. And we get the red rings, so this is actually the cutout of the hand looking down into the tunnel, and there's the drone going down into the tunnel. A very simple but effective cover art, and we see the title, The Passageway, Jeff Lemire, Andrea Sorrentino, and then really here, little here in the bottom, the Bone Orchard Mythos, so the name of the whole series. And we see on the side, it actually lists this as the Bone Orchard Mythos, The Passageway, even though a lot of other listings have it the other way around. And this really nice, gruesome image on the back of this raven eating some eyeballs here. We'll get to the context and the story in a little bit. And it talks about this is the first book in the shared universe of the Bone Orchard Mythos. Really am curious, is this going to be just Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino doing this? Or are there going to be other creators coming in? I am curious. There's the red image eye, and we see the MSRP here is $17.99. So it is hardcover. It is a little short. Like I said, I think this is only like 96 pages, but it does feel pretty dense for how short it is. So I thought 17 was a little on the steeper side, but it is hardcover. It is really high quality, and the story is dense for as short as it is. So yeah, take with that what you will. But anyway, if we flip it open, we'll see red, and then we'll see these nice static pages to kind of go into the story. And after that, the Passageway, the Bone Orchard Mythos. And I do love all this opening paper here, You get this really fun, like a big tree, and then you get the little credits down here. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and dive into the plot a little bit. I'm not going to be doing any major spoilers, but I do want to say my piece on a few plot points and make sure you guys have a basic understanding as to what the book's about. So I'll be avoiding the end. I'll be avoiding a lot of that crazy, crazy ending. But anyway, we crack it open and we get a fun, disturbing flashback sequence after this picture of the lighthouse here. But we get where he's talking about seeing the mother. She had the same look on her face, except for her eyes. Why were her eyes gone? What took them? Disturbing opening for the book. That's always great. But anyway, then we get the title page, The Passageway, and it's like it's on its own little planet there with a little tiny sailboat and some birds over here. So I do like the title card. And then after that, we see our main character John here, and he's not doing so good. You see, he was off on the mainland, but he was like the closest guy that worked with his geological group, and they said, you have to go investigate this mysterious happening on this little lighthouse island here. I do love this nice picture of the lighthouse, this dull red and this cool dull blue. But yeah, he's afraid of his water because the mother drowned, and they're like, we're sending you over to this lighthouse anyway, and he really doesn't want to be there, but he is going because he is a professional. And there he meets the lighthouse keeper, Sally, or Sal. And here's another really good double page spread. You get them up on the island here, and then you get all these panels. And then you see that on the bottom, this is actually a zoomed out wider landscape, and you can see the lighthouse on the rock here. Really, really cool. But you get the sense that the person that dropped him off and also Sally are, you know, really grizzled lighthouse people, really grizzled sea people. But they called him over because of this opening, and there's another double page spread here. Sadly, hardcovers don't open as well as single issue covers, so the whole being kind of centered here, you don't really get as good a view of it unless you spread the book pretty hard, and I don't want to damage it. But yeah, this nice rocky landscape. She says she just went out one morning, there were 2 rocks here, but they're gone, and now we got a big hole here. So where did the hole come from? What's going on with that? You get a fun scene where he throws a rock down it and doesn't hear the bottom. And yeah, that's a pretty big hole. But as he's doing all this, he does get triggered and remember his childhood. We get another flashback here, and I love how the art here is a lot softer, and it does have a different feel than the normal art. But the mother goes out, he wants to play in the sand, and of course, when he looks back, the mother is dead, floating in the water there. And later on he would say, she died because she was epileptic. That's why she drowned, and I was too young to know to save her. But I always wondered why her eyes were missing, which, yeah, that's a really disturbing thought right there. But anyway, he's setting up his drone, and he's going to go and send the drone down the hole. And he does talk to Sal, and he's like, how long have you been here? What's your shifts like? And she's like, oh, I've been here 25 years. I got all I need right here. And at first, he thinks she's joking and then realizes, oh, wow, she's serious. And I do like this page here, the framing, and then it leads to this upside-down lighthouse. But anyway, he's going to send the drone in, and boy, look at this shot of it going down. That's pretty cool. And the next shot here, the drone goes down, zrrr. But the next shot here is really an example of how crazy Andrea Sorrentino's art can be. This is a picture of a drone going down a hole, and look how crazy and intense this is. We see the screenshots going through the middle of the page, getting smaller and showing the depth. And then we get almost like an echo of the tunnel, this ring pattern here, in which we see Sal, John, and the lighthouse all cut up and rearranged in different ways. It's weird and crazy and probably took the artist way too long, but I definitely do appreciate the effort. But anyway, it gets down to 60 feet, and we do get this fun scare sequence where they see a big scary face, and then all these birds fly out of the hole and spook him. Or, well, he sees that. Sal, of course, isn't gonna notice anything, and they lose contact with the drone, which, yeah, I thought that would happen. That's an expensive piece of tech. Don't send it down a hole. But anyway, we get this fun moment where he looks over and sees a bird, and at first he thinks the bird, there's the back cover, is eating his mother's eyes, and he starts to freak out, but of course it's only just some, you know, regular, I guess, nuts or something. But they decide to call it a day, and I won't spoil too much past here. He goes in, he has some disturbing visions, and he explores the lighthouse a little bit, and you get to wonder what exactly Sal's up to, and why she's staying on the lighthouse, even though it does appear that the light is burnt out. But after that, he does eventually explore the hole more directly, and that's where we get some disturbing, crazy nightmare imagery. And I've decided I'm going to show you guys just one page of that, because I want to show you that it can get crazy, but I don't want to spoil too much of the end bit. But here's him, and you can see Tiny Hem walking around in the underground system, and there's this statue of like a Grim Reaper character that starts to to bleed blood out of its eyes, and he's like, this is all impossible, this is impossible. So that's all I'll show you of the nightmare. Like I said, the underground cave nightmare section is pretty intense, but I that's towards the end. I don't want to spoil it, but that's definitely where it gets the most intense. Like I said, really good art and a really interesting short story, but I do wonder, because it is over a little bit quick, I do wonder how much more these events are going to call back later, and is this just a short story, or is this chapter 1 in the Bone Orchard Mythos? And that is kind of what I'm wondering, and the only way we'll find that out is when we get more Bone Orchard Mythos stuff, and I am definitely looking forward to that. As it stands, a fun little short story with a crazy Lovecraftian nightmare section at the end. Not the best resolution, but I think that is to keep things from getting tied up too neatly, keep the fear vague and mysterious, but also we are doing more in this universe, and I do wonder what that's going to be. So overall, a pretty good story, but if you're not into weird and surreal stuff, it may not be for you. And if you want 100% closure, again, may not be for you. But as a really fun, intense nightmare with, again, you know, Jeff Lemire is always great, but man, pair him up with Andrea Sorrentino, and they can do some crazy nightmare stuff, I tell you what. So it's interesting, but definitely does feel like the first bit of something larger, and I do want to see more of this Bone Orchard Mythos stuff. It was pretty fun. But anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This will probably be my Image Comics playlist. If you want to see me talk about more Image stuff, you can find that there. I did talk about Volume 1 of Gideon Falls, and I also talked about Issue 1 of The Closet, which just came out as well. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very soon. Image Comics playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.